Okay, can you hear me? Okay, give me just a second. I'm gonna go post it on the page. Hey, Big Al. Bear with me. I'm having technical difficulties. It took me longer than I thought to go live. We had somebody stop by unexpected with donations. And then I guess my page isn't old enough. So we're over on YouTube. It's laryngitis going on 4 or 5 weeks at this point. I had an appointment, but it's currently underwater in Asheville, or under mud. I went and posted it on the page and tagged everybody, so I'll give them a second to get over here. Big Al, can you do me a favor and tag our buddy who is going to come live with me also? Please, I forgot to tell her where I was at. Oh, please don't tell me this lasts for 10 weeks. I am so tired of not being able to yell. Thank you so much. I tagged everybody and forgot her, and she made a copy of some proof that I'm sure I'm going to have to show somebody. What couch? No. Hey, John, we're just kind of waiting for people to filter over this way. I'm having some technical difficulties. know if y'all can hear these dogs in the background. They're not vicious. They're Olive. 15 pounds of schnauzers playing. Hiccup, you're being rude. Yeah, I'll probably repeat this more times than I can count. My voice is messed up at the moment. It has been for 5 weeks, it seems like now. So that before I forget, just so nobody can say I'm trying to disguise my voice, the setup is very intentional. If you've ever caught one of the very few lives I've done before, the fire pit makes an appearance, and I'm sure you can see the outline of the lake behind it. So I'll be posting a clip from an old live that has my voice, so the Facebook detectives can match my actual voice to the voice in the phone clips that y'all are hearing. It would be great if you could share it. I didn't realize until the very last minute that it was not going to let me actually go live from the page. Yeah, at this point, I've done enough talking that I don't know whether it's going to come back or not. Holy cow. We have 85 people so far, which is fantastic. I don't even think there's that many on the page. Okay. I'm seeing 89, and I'm not quite sure how many of that is from the link that I provided on Tangled Webs. But I don't want to hold everybody up. So this is where I'm going to start. And this is for Tangled Webs specifically. I refuse to allow any discussion of those kids on the page, period. I don't want any discussion or details about what incident led up to this altercation at all. I personally don't understand why people need to know those details. And I'm hoping that they're just not thinking far enough to realize that those details involve a minor. But regardless, I don't care what led up to it. There's nothing that justifies it. So it makes those details irrelevant. All those details do are traumatize the child further. And we're not going to do that. If you don't like that, go find another page. Because I will keep my promise. I've posted it several times. I've asked politely. I don't know how else to say it. I will keep my promise if you continue to try to post the graphic details of what happened before that led to this child abuse. I will call you out publicly and treat you like a predator, because only predators need to know those types of details. And that's for Tangled specifically. I'm not bashing any other pages that allow more than I do. That's their choice. And I'm not disagreeing with the way they do it. The kids are a trigger for me personally. And it's just a hard line. Second, and this I'll try to repeat, and hopefully everybody else will share it. The phone call and some messages, as well as the first set of screenshots that kind of started this fiasco back in May, was all turned in June to CPS and to their local law enforcement. I do have the detective I spoke with where he received that information, and there was a CPS case that went from an open report that was assigned to a caseworker that also has the same information that was sent in. So I have not, and no other page has sent and done nothing about this. The information has been in the hands of authorities since June. Hopefully everybody heard those two pieces. Okay, this is an unasked question, but I have proof, and we know that this information has been in their hands since June. And yes, investigations take time, because this was not just a complaint. There was at least audio evidence that it crossed the line into what could be assault. That's criminal. So yes, I know investigations take time. We were all giving them time to work, because as pages, one of the biggest downfalls is Everything we post is a heads up for her. If we post we've called CPS, she has time to change it. If we post that we are involving the law, she has time to coach them. And there's no need to give her a heads up. So we've not sat on the information and done nothing. Correct. Move in silence. And that was the general consensus, the agreement. There was no need to post it. Not when we could get it into the hands of who could actually do something about it. So the decision to post it was only because Hannah was back in the house. That's it. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the rest of the questions that were asked that I need to address. The thing is I don't know what has been done about the investigation. It's not like they're obligated to tell me or anybody else that turns anything in just because we're not directly related to the case. So I have no idea where they stand at with it. I can say that myself and others are working behind the scenes and have sent out emails and phone calls to additional resources other than who we've already reached out to try to get this into the hands of somebody that can escalate it. Rebecca May. Yes, maybe you just joined, but I just said that in June, when I recorded this call, I handed it over to the local police department and to CPS in Meade County. I'll just rub it in. It's I'll have to get up and look, but it's cold here. Big Al. Ollie, you bring up a good point. One of Janelle's issues is that it doesn't matter what Hannah does, Janelle will always prioritize her over those kids. She's always going to pick Hannah regardless of her actions or what she does. am so glad you made it through Milton, Big O. We was all worried sick. Brooke, that's a question that I can't answer because, again, they don't give you updates of that matter. Like, they don't convey to me really any details that would give anything away. I mean, at the most, I'll get an answer like we're still looking into it, but I'm not directly involved. So it's not, they don't have to tell me anything. Correct, Sneakers. I mean, investigations do take time. And that brings up another thing before I forget. One of the issues back in May, and even now that we run into, is if something gets posted to a page, suddenly CPS and their locals get absolutely flooded with calls. And I mean, I have seen people repeatedly either saying they're going to call or saying they have already called CPS and law enforcement. I have seen a couple that were wanting to send it to the twins' school counselor. Stopping on just that point for a second. There is absolutely no reason any of us should be contacting the school where the twins go, period. This has nothing to do with those twins. And that school counselor is a mandated reporter, but they're going to report to CPS. There is absolutely no reason to involve the twin school in this instance because it has nothing to do with them. It just creates issues for the twins, and it will give Janelle a reason to pull them out of school. People have got to stop and start thinking about the impact that they are going to have on these kids. Stargazer, I don't understand your comment. The calls have made this take so dang long. The rest of what I was saying, one of the obstacles is Spicy had even addressed it on one of her lives that when she spoke with Detective Hopkins and then when she spoke with a separate detective in May, that they were flooded with calls. All of that slows down the process. And if anybody was around with CMC days, I'm sure you can remember that there have been so many calls placed to locals over things that weren't legitimate that it kind of created the effect that they wouldn't take us as serious when there was an issue. Yes, Stargazer. Now I understand exactly. We want the kids in school. We want them to have a normal life. And contacting the school and things is counterproductive. It's going to hurt them. Okay, Maria, this will answer your question, and we'll move this along because I don't want to tie everybody up. The person you hear on the phone with Janelle is me. She did not know that the phone call was being recorded. I live in a one-party state. I'm not required to tell her that it was being recorded. It is roughly a 2-hour and 14-minute conversation that she and I had. At the time, she had contacted me, and it was in regards to the things that had been posted in May. No, there was nothing about this. It was a skit. It was a legitimate conversation between Janelle and myself. And there will be, after we end this, I will post a short video to the actual Tangle page of the messages or proof that messages were exchanged between Janelle and myself. One of the questions somebody had posted earlier that they wanted me to answer was, would you hear the entire call, or were there more clips? There probably will be some more clips coming. No, I will not be posting the entire unedited call, simply because the majority of the conversation surrounded discussing the children, and I'm not putting that out there. Um, I would hope that something can be done. I can prove that the phone call took place between myself and her. I can prove that the messages were between me and her, and this wasn't a skit. I can't imagine why she would create such a heinous lie, and even that in itself can bite her in the ass. Why did I think people need to hear it? To be honest, it wasn't intended so much for the awareness page side, because we don't agree with Janelle. My concern in the moment and the reason for releasing these clips is because Hannah is back in the house. So the time for waiting for whatever investigation or process is taking place, there's an immediate threat in the home. That's the way that I look at it. And Janelle depends on her page and her viewers. Hey, Pot, I, I don't I don't know why people think they need to hear the whole thing. I guess to put it in context, or they want all the details, or I'm not sure. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible because as a page, I think that's what we owe our followers. But at the same time, there's things I'm not willing to release, and anything that discusses those kids is not going to be one of the things that will ever be released. I 100% agree they absolutely get out of hand in the comments, which was why I am getting so angry at having. I don't want to be. It's really hard to catch all the comments, and there's a line between allowing people to discuss it because they're angry and being a dick. I don't mind being a dick because I don't want some of those details discussed again. For those that can remember, back in May in the summer, it got very triggering and heartbreaking to see some of the things that were being said that involved a child. I know if it was one of my children, I wouldn't want it discussed publicly. And I feel like as a page, we know that Janelle shows those older kids these comments. She's there's more than one live that exists where she has them on camera addressing us haters. I do not want to add trauma to these kids by either directly hateful or unintentional comments that are being made. It's just not necessary. The focus should be on the three adults that are failing them. Exactly. She has her whole life ahead of her. In 2 years, she'll be 18. And I pray to God she gets out of there. But her name will always be tied to Janelle's. And that's sad. But in 2 years, I don't want people digging up old rumors or old comments of speculation for her. Will, I don't know where Will is at. I know on her live last night, somebody asked directly in the comments, "Where is Will?" And she answered back in the comments, "He's here." I have that screenshot and I can post it after this is over if somebody will remind me. So she's still continuing to play it that is as if Will is there. You're exactly. The internet is forever. I mean, even her attempt to delete videos, I don't think she considered how guilty that made her look. It's not like you can get rid of them. The OGs have kept those things. Did she tell me what Will said about what happened? According to what she told me on the call, was that Will was the one who had went and pressed charges or went and filed a complaint or a report at the time regarding the original set of allegations that kind of started all of this. Beyond that, she didn't tell me how he felt about. She didn't address what his reaction was to the actual Hannah assaulting her was at all. The other thing she discussed was when Will supposedly touched Hannah And that's a clip that y'all all heard because Exposed has posted it. That I like the way you said that, Truth. These are real kids. They have real feelings. What we're doing has a real impact on them, whether it's now or later, and I don't want that to be negative. That pic of all three of them was something she had posted to her page, I believe, last night. How did I get her to talk? It actually wasn't me. Well, it wasn't me trying to get her to talk. At the time, when the screenshots were floating around that were extremely graphic, and the pages were trying to get those taken down and figure out what was real and what wasn't, because it was running rampant. She had messaged me. She messaged the Tangle page and asked to call. Now, I'm not stupid. I've been around I'm 47. I've been in awareness for 3 years, so I'm not stupid. When she wants to call, it's to avoid creating a paper trail or message trail. So we called. A couple other things that, because Truth Maker, Stargazer, all of that prolong this. You are correct. There was so much twisted and misinformation surrounding that group of screenshots that had been dropped. And so many wild theories and comments and speculation that it kind of compounded the issue that we have now. Because even at that time, people were calling in with things they had read in comments and not something she had said directly or that they could have any proof of. I think I understood what she meant. And yes, one of those pages is still active, and the ringleader, so to speak, is still active and continuing to come up with some wild theories. Maria, that's not a question that I'm going to go into detail for. What I will give you is the screenshots that were originally posted were false. If you'll look in at the time, if you can remember, there was some speculation because the reflection of those screenshots looked like Janelle, and we could identify Hannah, which was kind of what set off are these real? In the phone call, Janelle admitted that this was nothing, absolutely nothing like what was being claimed took place. That's the only way I can say it, and that's how I'm going to address it. What Janelle did admit to is that is her in those reflections, and that it was her and Hannah trying to set him up and push him into making a confession. Salty, the reason I think is because up until just very recently, if you've kept up with Tangled, I'm not an awareness page in the same sense that the others are. Tangled was made to call out an awareness page, which would have been Todd and Sheila. So, and from there, it was the betas. I've not really covered the scammers because we have so many great pages that do that. So, my focus has always been calling out the ones in the awareness community that are being shady as fuck and causing problems. So, when I was originally even posting kind of about Janelle, it wasn't directly the same coverage as the other pages. It was because I was calling out the lies and bullshit that was being posted on some other pages. Greta, I understand nobody trusts her. And I think the first assumption is this all has to be a lie. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think that Janelle will take every chance to try to make herself be the victim or to be shown in a better light. But in this instance, she took precautions to make sure we were speaking on the phone so that she wasn't creating records through messages. The other thing is she did not know she was being recorded. So while I'm very aware that she will try to manipulate the way that something is being seen in that phone call, she had really no reason to be lying or creating an excessive storyline for herself. I hope I answered that because it makes sense in my head. She didn't really have a reason to be lying. I'm not saying that she wasn't. It's just that I think if I had forced the issue, I don't think she would have been as forthcoming in messages because on the phone, I think she got very comfortable and kind of forgot what she was saying or what she was telling me or leaking, however you want to look at it. And I base that partially on her response when she found out that it had been recorded. She absolutely lost her shit and was more worried that I had recorded it to begin with. Yes, Jan, thank you. That's what I'm babbling about. It flowed very naturally. It wasn't the same cadence or tone or feeling as when she's telling a story. Is my parody friend here? One other point I'll make. I wish I could see people's actual page names because I can't really see it like I know Pot's here and William was. In confidence, what I will say is before I took the phone call with Janelle, I was in contact with some other pages and a great group of people that knew beforehand that she wanted to speak. And we were all in agreement before it happened of whether or not to move forward. I've also shared out the entire recording to several trusted pages and groups, as well as all of the messages that took place between me and her. So there isn't a question of if I'm hiding something or if I'm leaving pieces out, because there are multiple pages that can hang my ass out to dry if I'm trying to be deceptive. Okay, I am supposed to have, and I hope she found it. Big Al, are you still on here? You're right, Stargazer, I agree. Initially, that was what was angry, or what had made me angry. I mean, we were kind of dealing with DoorDash with being monetized and whatnot, and when these screenshots initially when all of this kind of first kicked off, there was no thought about the children. It actually pivoted, and suddenly everybody was supposed to be oh, poor Hannah, and she's trying to escape, and she needs our help, and she needs our prayers, to the point that we had people wanting to do a GoFundMe for her, or send her financial help, or send her donations. It was wild to watch, but nobody stopped and questioned it. Oh, hey, Mama. And that's a good point. Postpartum depression is a very real thing. And I think Hannah has an established track record of what we all think will happen. She'll have the baby, stick around, and then she will leave. But that in between is where I worry most about her taking her anger out. I agree. I think like people kind of got caught up. I try to see both sides of it, but it's hard sometimes, because I can understand being caught up in it. But when you have established, respected pages like Confidence and Rose and Expose and Ultimate Deception, trying to point out the flaws or set the record straight or point out the bullshit, and they still continue to push it, it's a little less understandable. Hey, Exposed. Okay, can somebody let me know if I missed anything, like a direct question? I think I covered like the important points that I could remember to cover. Uh, Angela, what makes her followers blind? This is going to be my opinion only, but I'm basing it off of some comments that I caught that were posted to some pictures on her Keeping Up with the Drury page. For one, people don't need to be over there commenting. She said out of her own mouth, she has made posts that the haters make her money. She wants you commenting over there. She does not care. But the other thing that I see is when people do go over there and comment, they get so aggressive and nasty in comments that it immediately makes us look like bullies. I think, I won't call out names, but there is a comment posted on her picture, and it's pics of the kids. And somebody has left a comment of, "Look, it's the Hills Have Eyes children." And I realize people have a lot of anger and hatred built up for her, but her followers don't see it the same way. We're not convincing them with that behavior. We're only cementing the narrative that she's trying to sell of we're haters and bullies. Because when when people do leave comments over there, not only is she getting paid, she's using them to build more followers to cement that bully persona that she's trying to sell. You're right, it gives sympathy from her followers. You're right, kids should be off limits. And it's a very hard line to keep because I understand that so much of her content is about the kids that it makes it almost impossible to cover her without them being in the middle. But I think there's a tasteful way and a tactful way to do it without the focus becoming them. I agree. I think her followers would take note of how she's trying to avoid it. But I think, too, that they blindly believe that she's just ignoring the hate. That I think she's somehow convinced them that if she doesn't address it, then it must not be true. But I do think, as an awareness community, we could do better about not commenting over there. I don't know what we need to do to convince people because I feel like all the pages have posted where she outright says, the haters make me money. I mean, she will joke about it on her live of leave them, they're just helping me. Okay, does anybody want to come up and any of the other pages and explain this or chime in? I kind of feel like I've butchered it. It's possible that she says it thinking it will make it stop. Because ultimately that's what we push for. I mean, we don't want to help her make money. Uh, Exposed, remind me to message you, please, when I end this. Angela, yesterday during her live, as much as I just harped, please don't go there and comment, I made an exception yesterday. And I chose the link of the video where she graphically describes Hannah beating her in the head and in the face regarding the child. I chose that clip. And I also uploaded that clip to a different YouTube channel where that's the only thing that exists. And I was dropping the link as a reply to both of those during her live yesterday. I was successful for probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes before she blocked me. Now, I can't tell on the Facebook page whether it was viewed or not, but on the YouTube page, I believe it had 6 views the last time that I had looked. And the only place that those exist, or that clip exists, is on that page, and that's the only place I shared the link to. Okay, I'm assuming that's not the real Janelle Drury. That is my buddy from the parody page, yes. Stargazer, if I can remember, feel free to post me a message to remind me, and I will screenshot the other YouTube page where the link was posted from, so I can show how many views it has. I wish nobody would go to her page. Ultimate Deception does a fantastic job in showing the lives, and there's so many awareness pages that break those down into the legitimate clips that everybody needs to hear, because quite frankly, her lives are like watching paint dry. I actually have to drop a link if you want to come up, so give me 1 second. Well, where is that at? Well, bear with me here, people, because I don't know how to drop the link. Nope. That's what I figured. Do you want to move the live to your actual parody page, because it's not letting me drop a link, which is how you would have to come up? Because I think You could probably explain some of this better than I'm doing. The Facebook parody, well, wherever you want to do it, you probably, like I said, I think some of this you can explain better than my cracked out Kermit the Frog voice. Her hair was cut, not, the way it was explained was they had talked about it, and I think that was because I do think in that instance she was trying to kind of cover up the severity of what happened. But what I was told and what's we've put out so far was that there were two instances. They had put Nair in her shampoo and stuff, and then there was an instance where Hannah had put super glue in her hair that had to be cut out. And ultimately, what happened was Hannah just took scissors and forcefully, against her will at the time, chopped her hair off. And then Janelle had to fix it. But it was not consensual. That is not the right word for a haircut, but I don't know how to put it. In the clips there is a clip posted addressing the haircut. And Janelle says it wasn't with permission. At the time, it wasn't a bonding moment. Hannah chopped it off. I'm sorry, Truth. We'll do this again because I know what's going to be said. That's not her voice, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I can get the page to cooperate, my voice we will definitely do it again. As far as her using the term they, there was one instance, and it's in a clip where she says they were waiting for her with the Nair and the super glue. And yes, I believe she was referencing Mason because that's who was part of the conversation that is clipped out of that. However, she didn't say anything else in the call about Mason's involvement in anything regarding to do with like the assault or anything of what was taking place when Hannah was freaking out or all of that happened. That was her one slip up when she said they. So I can't confirm that he was actively part of any of it. At the very least, by her words, it only puts him there when it happened. So, at the very least, he didn't step in and do anything to stop it or get anybody help. Oh my God, so I sound like Janelle with laryngitis. How much damn sense does that make? perfectly fine with me. You can drop the link here. It's not letting me do it. You're right. It's like, you're right. I think she purposefully included him because in a large portion of that call, she was very pointedly trying to focus a lot of blame on him. However you want to do it, if you want me to end this live and we'll all follow you over to the parody page, or you can drop it here. Stargazer, to the best of my understanding, the way she was explaining it, yes, he was still there at that time. The parody page we're referencing is the Janelle Drury Come On Down. She is so funny. It's one of my favorite pages because it's comedy relief and people get a chance to like tell Janelle how they really feel. But you gotta have some thick skin because some of her replies will burn you. Stargazer, the one thing I will put is the allegations against Mason were false. That was not something what had been originally posted was twisted way out of what actually happened. I will say that I asked on multiple times throughout this call that this didn't go beyond flirting. This was not a physical. There was no assault. There wasn't. This was not what it was portrayed to be. This was flirting at the very most, and it wasn't grooming on from a male adult perspective. Okay, the copying. This is going to be the last question that I answer, and I'm sorry, but I'm like yelling at the top of my voice now, so I know I'm getting low on battery. And we'll move it over because truly she will do a way better job at explaining this than I can. The copying, and I have again, I can't. The screenshots that I originally posted say it best. This wasn't, she wasn't copying her in seductive dress. This was like a sister emulates somebody older, like an older sister. This was like, it wasn't emulating Hannah's bad behavior. This was just copying her. I'll see if I can edit the screenshot enough, but it was part of the reason was Everybody remembers the infamous black robe, correct? The one that Hannah got from one of the sugar daddies, and then Janelle was wearing it. Yes. One of the instances that pissed Hannah off was because the child had been wearing that robe. So this wasn't the child emulating Hannah's bad behavior. It was her imitating her like a younger sister would an older one. Okay. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me because I know I've got to be the most annoying person on the planet to listen to it, especially the way I sound. So I'm going to end this live and I hope everybody moves over to the Janelle Drury Come On Down page. Thank you guys.